Brooks Koepka has rejoined the PGA Tour after quitting LIV Golf. Do you remember when he joined up, there was a whole list of high-profile golfers who said yes to the huge money on offer from Saudi-based LIV Golf. I remember at the time what he said at his original press conference.
What I've had to go through the last 2 years on my knees, the pain, the rehab, all this stuff, you realize, I need a little bit more time off. I'll be the first one to say it. It's not been an easy last couple of years, and I think having a little more breaks, a little more time at home to make sure I'm 100% before I go play an event. I don't feel like I'm forced to play right away. And that was a big thing for me. And talking to guys, everybody that came back that I spoke to, DJ, my brother, Phil, everybody was I had nothing but great things to say. So, take it from their word and the schedule, and there's a lot of things that went into my decision. I'm sure these guys the same thing.
So that was back in 2022 when he said yes to the millions on offer from LIV Golf. Now he's rejoining the PGA Tour after quitting LIV Golf. So what does it tell us? Rupert Bell, talkSPORT's golf correspondent, joins us live. Rupert, good morning. After being a deserter, should Brooks Koepka be welcomed back?
Well, this is the debate, and maybe not all the players on the PGA Tour will be welcoming him back with open arms, because some might say that he's getting preferential treatment. Now, the figures that he's got to give to start off 5 million to charity. Well, that's easy enough. You can write that off as tax deductible anyway. But there are some other meaty fines that could cost him up to 50 million in earnings. But given what he signed on for and everything, it doesn't feel like it's going to dent his pocket too much, even though the figures are quite staggering. Remember, he signed on for a lot of money. He has won on the tour, on the LIV Golf Tour, but he always did seem to cut a slightly distant figure on the tour. And I can see why he's gone back. He talks about, I want to win majors. That's what gets him going. And perhaps now he feels the best way to try and be competitive in majors is to be back on the PGA Tour, where obviously he feels now the competition is stronger than perhaps it is on the LIV Golf Tour.
What's the reaction from LIV in regards to this? I mean, I'm not hugely concerned, but it's an interesting perspective because they've been used. He's gone there for what suited him, for a timeline that suits him, and now he's going back. And as you rightly say, on the way out of the golf course, the money that he's got to pay them back as some degree of charitable contribution falls off his pocket on the way out. What's LIV's response to that fact that they're now downgraded as second-class citizens, good enough to pay him a bunch of money, but not good enough to stay with?
Well, and I think this is going to be a slight cause for concern for LIV, because they are trying hard they've moved now to 72-hole tournaments, trying to make themselves sort of fall into line with the rest of the golfing calendar. But if they should lose John Ram, Bryson DeChambeau and Cameron Smith, now that really will put the cat amongst the pigeons, as it were, for LIV Golf, because Bryson DeChambeau is probably the biggest star in world golf, given through his YouTube and the attention that he draws. And the PGA Tour would like them back. And the way they've framed it is anyone who's won a major, I think, from 2022 or has won the flagship PGA Tour championship is entitled to come back. And that actually means those three golfers I've just alluded to could come back. It's not so easy if you're just a sort of ordinary player. So there is the sort of within the PGA Tour, there will be, I think, some dissenting voices. But for LIV Golf, it's not a good look when you have golfers like that. And bearing in mind, on the DP World Tour, this week, we see LIV golfers teeing it up. Next week in Abu Dhabi, there will be LIV golfers teeing it up. So it's a bit of a mess at the moment as to who's paying what fines are here. It's a sort of, I don't know, it just feels at the moment a bit of a mess. And LIV Golf might, in the end, although they're trumpeting all their TV deals, they've just done one with TNT in this country, at the moment, it feels like they are the poor relations, even though they may have more money than anybody else.
It's so interesting to see how it's got the direction in which it has beaten LIV in the process, don't you think?
Well, it's these three golfers, it's the big names. That's the ones they want because they need it for sponsorship. Bryson DeChambeau, he moves the dial. whether, you know, and he is box office. John Rahm is box office, and there are talk that he's not entirely happy with the live format and maybe is, as they say, possibly regretting ever signing with live golf because there's Ryder Cup considerations. There's all these things. What's going on behind the scenes? It probably feels like the only people who are ultimately going to make money are all the lawyers out there, because that seems to be what it's coming down to. Live Golf are punching, trying to put on a positive spin on it all. But if they should lose those three golfers, then it really will have an impact, because you have to say, looking through the list of players on Live, they're not actually the ones that are going to make you watch it, even though it's the team event format. Does that work? I'm not sure at the moment. So that's one of the reasons why they've gone to 72 holes.
So I was just going to ask you then, Rupert, DeChambeau, Rahm and Cam Smith, I think I'm right. They've got until February the 2nd to decide what they're going to do. And it's make your mind up time. Do they go back to the PGA or do they stay with Liv? What do you think? Do you think they're going to follow suit with Koepka?
Well, I'm sure there's some thought processes going on. It's just before their first season, Liv's first season opening event in Riyadh. So that's why one of the deadlines. We know that Brooks Koepka will be teeing it up at the Farmers Invitational, I think it is, next month. So it is interesting. A little bit of pressure is being put on those three, because Cam Smith's form has fallen off a cliff since he's joined. Bryson DeChambeau, well, he is what he is. And John Rahm, of course, still wants to one of the best golfers in the world. So for those three, it is an interesting time for them. Do they keep loyal to Liv with all the money they've earned, or do they think the grass may be greener once again back on the PGA Tour?
Rupert Bell, thank you very much indeed. talkSPORT's golf correspondent. What do you think about the look of this, Simon? Oh, yeah, LIV Golf. Well, the millions on offer. You bet I'll join them. Yeah, and now they're lining up to come back.
Yeah, but everybody would have done the same thing that had an opportunity. There's only a few exceptions, and those that sit on the
But not everybody did.
Yeah, but the bulk of them did.
Rory didn't.
Yeah, Rory didn't. No, Rory was one of the few exceptions. He made some overtures that he was going to at one point, no, didn't he? He climbed back from his position of absolute confected outrage to a slight position of potential cocking an eye towards it. I'm surprised Liv have allowed them to escape so easily, because ultimately they've been utilised and used. It's interesting to see how much the PGA Tour has suffered as a result of their absence, and whether they feel that there's more deterrent by saying, no, you're done. You guys, you get a one-hit deal, it's one strike and you're out. And that would deter people in the future from taking this opportunity, because the next generation of talent will potentially be lured again by Liv.
Yeah.
And Liv will perhaps tighten up their contracts and make it not so easy for people to come over and just take a big bag of money and then depart when it suits them.
Yeah.
So what we've got is a levelling out of the playing field. This destruction of golf that people forecast, and this absolute degradation of the tours and the orthodoxy of golf didn't happen, did it?
No, but Rupert's saying it's a mess, and it is a mess.
Well, who's it a mess to?
Well, the whole scene's a bit of a mess.
Why is it a mess? Why is it a mess?
Do they stay with Liv or do they go back?
Well,
because they want to be seen to win the majors.
The golfing putt. That's not really a mess, is it? It's a landscape.
Yeah.
But what we saw was what we believed was the destruction of the conventional system of golfing, and what we saw was the major players still playing in the majors. What we saw was players that were playing in the Ryder Cup. And what we saw is not a degradation of the entire structure of golf. And these players are now coming back from Liv, back to the conventional thinking of the existing tours.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if it's a mess. It's not an ideal landscape, but disruption comes in every environment.
Sure.
And we didn't see the doom that was forecast 2 years ago when Liv started creating some mayhem, and Greg, the Australian golfer, Greg Norman was making all the noise because he hates all the tours.
I like the way when you said Rory cocked an eye to it at one stage. You were right about that, but I noticed you looked to your left there with your left eye, but you carried on looking at me with your right eye, which is quite a skill.